Welcome back, my fellow students, to another Italian language lesson. In today's lesson, I will explain in easy and fast way everything you need to know about Italian verbs conjugation. Well, Italian verbs conjugation, it is quite hard because its origins are coming from Latin itself, and Latin it is pretty tough language for what concerns conjugations and declinations. That's why Italian it is still a little bit easier than Latin, but harder than many other different languages. First and foremost, Italian conjugational patterns are divided into three main categories based on the endings of each verb in its infinitive mood. You see that the majority of Italian verbs will end in three different ways. And those three endings, are, ere, ire, will repeat for 100% of Italian verbs. Now, the point is to figure it out how to deal with those different conjugational patterns. So, verbs ending better, verbs with their infinitive mood ending by are called belonging to the first conjugation, prima coniugazione. Verbs ending in ere will belong to seconda coniugazione, second conjugation, and finally verbs ending by ire, they are going to belong to the third conjugation, terza coniugazione. Why is that important? Because every conjugational pattern has its own patterns. The majority of verbs belonging to that specific conjugation will follow the very conjugational pattern associated to that coniugazione. But of course, there will be some exceptions that are called irregular verbs, verbi irregolari. Parlare, to talk, amare, to love, lavorare, to work. Every one belongs to prima coniugazione. Credere, to believe, temere, to fear, vedere, to see, ere, all of them belong to seconda coniugazione. Partire, to leave, sentire, to hear, finire, to end. They end by ire. That's why we can say all those verbs belong to terza coniugazione. Other very important parameters to define a specific verb are called modes and tenses. Modi e tempi. Modo indicates the mood of the action, how the action is described by the speaker, while the tense, tempo, instead collocates the very action in a specific place on the timeline, in the past, in the present, or the future. Modo indicativo, indicative mood, it is used to express certainty. In Italian language, as in English, we use indicativo to express facts, certain and real. And of course, in that very mood, we can name different tenses. Presente, passato prossimo, imperfetto, passato remoto, trapassato prossimo, trapassato remoto, futuro semplice, and futuro anteriore. Many tenses are quite simple to understand, master, as presente, passato, past, futuro, future. Other are quite tricky because are similar but different, and they can be used only in specific situations. Another important mood is congiuntivo. It is used in Italian language to express doubts, hypotheses, desires, and it only has 4 tenses: presente, passato, imperfetto e trapassato. Another very important mood is condizionale, used to express conditions that need to be matched to trigger other actions or hypothetical consequences. Condizionale has only 2 tenses, presente and passato. Imperativo, to describe commands and requests. It has only present tense. Remember that. Participio or participle, it's the counterpart of English participle because participio with only 2 tenses, presente and passato. It is used to make compound tenses. Gerundio, very important, with its only two tenses, presente e passato. It is used to describe ongoing actions, actions in progress. Translate the English ing form. Then remember that verbs also change their form depending by the persona they're referring to and by the number, singular or plural. We can define 6 main personas: io, tu, lui, lei, noi, voi, essi, corresponding to English I, you, he, she, it, we, you, them, where of course particular case scenario is for he, she, it, because Italian language has no neutral gender, so we are going to refer only to lui and lei. Particularly important are auxiliary verbs. In English are to have and to be, and in Italian works in the same way. To have is avere, and to be it is essere. They of course mean having and being. However, they are very important because are used to build compound tenses. In fact, compound tenses as passato prossimo, for instance, can be made by using auxiliary verb plus participle of the very verb we need to express in that particular conjugation. Of course, also in Italian language we can have transitive verbs and intransitive verbs, where transitive verbs are the only verbs that emit a direct object after, so they transfer the action to the very direct objects. Bonus tip for genius speakers: remember that auxiliary verbs to be and to have, essere and avere, are irregular, because, for instance, the verb avere, to have, will be io ho, tu hai, lui, lei ha, noi abbiamo, voi avete, loro hanno. The verb differs from each persona. As well, to be, essere, is gonna be io sono, tu sei, lui, lei è. Noi siamo, voi siete, loro sono. As well, even the initial part of the verb changes through its conjugational pattern. As well, it is very good to memorize that pattern by memory. Well, those are the main rules for Italian verbs conjugational patterns. However, I cannot make a whole video listing all the possible verbs and possible conjugations. That will last hours. So, I will give you some tips. You can use websites italianverbs.com to look for every possible Italian verb. Ladies and gentlemen, class is dismissed. Remember, if you like this very video, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel Genius Speaking, and watch my other episodes about Italian language, Italian grammar. But in the meantime, remember, speak like a genius.